ensure God power. Get everything you ever wanted and live the life of your dreams. The Master's Course. Copyright 2010 by Richard Lee McKim Jr. All rights reserved. Let the quest for knowing begin. What can we learn from those who have NDEs or DEs? An NDE is a near-death experience. I don't know why they're known as near-death experiences when they are actually DE, death experiences. These people have actually died and then had some very interesting experiences while they were dead. Most of the time, they will report that they popped out of their body and floated up to the ceiling where they could see their own body on the operating table or wherever it happened to be. They saw what was going on with their body and were even able to recall actual conversations. Many then went into the light where they met loved ones or others who comforted them. This next video example gives many great examples and the personal stories of people who have had this amazing experience. Video example: The Day I Died, Pam Reynolds' story. What is this video about? This video example is from a very well done BBC documentary on near-death experiences, NDE. The BBC documentary chronicles several different people who have died and come back from death. While there are several cases that they document, I will only talk about a couple that are of significance to our subject. The first case is Pam Reynolds. Her story is told in this video excerpt.
For best results, pause this video at this point here, and watch the video example mentioned in the segment. The links are located in the book chapter, and at the end of the book. If you are watching this online, you will find the link for this video example listed in the notes section. Then, after watching the associated video example, continue watching this video from here.
Pam Reynolds had a brain aneurysm, which needed a miracle surgery to cure. In order to perform this delicate procedure, Pam would have to be clinically dead for more than an hour. It was called Operation Standstill. Her body was cooled down to 10 to 15 degrees Celsius. Her heart and lungs came to a complete stop. There was no brain activity and they drained her blood. When they began to cut into her skull, Pam Reynolds, in her own words, popped out of her body. She saw the doctors working on her and even recalled the medical instruments that they were using. After she came back and related her story to Dr. Michael Sabam, a cardiologist, he reviewed her account of what had happened and compared it to the doctor's report. The details of the procedure and her account was seemingly accurate. So she overheard a conversation between the doctor and the assistants who were cutting into her leg. It turns out that the conversation happened just as she had described it. The surgeon later stated that it would have been impossible for her to hear that conversation because her brain activity was completely stopped, and she had clicking devices inserted into each ear to monitor for any brain activity of which there was none. Not only was her brain circuitry completely shut down, but she was connected to all the medical equipment that was needed to prove it. The reading on the machines that she was connected to revealed that there was no way for her to have stored any memories during that time. Since there was no synaptic activity, nothing could have been recorded in her brain. At the start of the next video example, which is another clip from the same BBC documentary, The Day I Died, Dr. Peter Fenwick, consultant neurophysicist, states that, quote, when the heart is stopped and the brain is not functioning, it is really not functioning. There can be no memory. It can't be remembering experiences in some way which are occurring at that time because the memory circuits don't work. So when the near-death experiencers talk about going out of their body and seeing the resuscitation process, it's difficult for our current neuroscience to understand how this could happen using a memory system which is defunct. So one has to argue in some way the information that she had is retained outside the brain. And then later on, when the brain is functioning again, is fixed into the brain's memory circuits. Unquote. In his own words, he puts it, quote,
when the heart is stopped and the brain is not functioning, it really is not functioning. There can be no memory. It can't be remembering experiences in some way which are occurring at that time because the memory circuits don't work. So when the near-death experiencer talks about these memories of going out of their body and seeing the resuscitation process, it's difficult for our current neuroscience to understand how this could happen in using a memory system which is defunct. And so one has to argue that in some way the information is retained outside the brain and then later on is fixed in the memory circuits.
Unquote. This analysis corresponds perfectly with our understanding of how our body actually works. As we have mentioned several times, all activity and creation happens in the energy body and is only represented as the physical form. So during the time that she was out of her body, she was consciously having experiences and the resulting memories in the same place she always had them, but they were not able to be represented in the brain until her body was revived and the brain was functioning again. Only then could the represented memories be found in the brain after they were projected and represented there.
To continue, go to How to Use Your God Power, chapter number 10, segment number 35. Let your quest for knowing continue.